Right then, last week we looked at Football Manager's database 5 years in. Today we're going to, have a look 10 years, and we've simmed another 5 years into the future. And hopefully we're going to see some very interesting things. First of all, you can see something very interesting just from here, can't you? Guardiola taking charge at Liverpool is quite big. But let's first of all have a look at the Premiership, because that's always an easier one for me to have a look at. Right, the Premier League. Anyone interested? Bristol City are in this league now. That's pretty interesting. Fulham are up in there as well. But apart from that, it's all pretty standard teams bombing away their way back up as well. In the last 5 years, so if you remember the last video, I did say that I felt like Man City was going to dominate football for years and years to come on this game because of the transfers they have made. However, it looks like it's been Arsenal now. The last 5 years have seen Arsenal win the Premiership 3 times. Out of the 5 years, Man City won the other 2. That's very interesting. So let's have a look at the actual table itself and see, exactly what happened. So last season, Arsenal won Man City in second by 2 points. Man United come in third. Liverpool 4th. Spurs in 5th. And Chelsea in 6th. We saw Leeds and the 2 Sheffield clubs both relegated that season. That's interesting. Year before, we saw Arsenal win the league by 5 points with Chelsea second. Man City second, Chelsea third, Liverpool 5th, behind Man United being 4th, Spurs in 6th, and Southampton getting a Europa League spot, which is pretty good for them. Big gap though still is there between the top 6 and the other teams. The year before that, then Man City won the league by 8 clear points over Liverpool. Chelsea finished 3rd, and Arsenal even able to finish 4th that season. That's interesting as well. Man United getting 7th, Everton breaking into the top 6. But again, a big gap then between 7th place and West Ham. And we also had the season before that, Man City winning the league, Chelsea 2nd, Man United 3rd, Arsenal finishing in 4th place once again, Liverpool and Spurs 5th and 6th, and again, actually there's a big gap between Spurs and Liverpool this year. Spurs were quite lucky to get to where they were, weren't they? And the first year of the 5 that we did, Arsenal won the league by goal difference. Wow, look at that. That's crazy. Both teams played 38, won 26, drew 6, lost 6. But it was down to the extra 4 goals that Arsenal scored. They gave them a plus 45 goal difference against a plus 42. That's big, that is. Okay. Let's look at the transfers then from that year. So we saw Man United buy Alan Noveas Campos from Everton, who is a fake player. He's still at Man United. Oh no, we're in this year now. Let's go back 5 years. Was it this one or is it this one? Okay, it was this one. It was this one, wasn't it? Yeah. Was it this one? No, it was this one. I'm getting confused now. It was this one, yeah, because we looked at it last time. Man United had just brought Fati. Okay. So this is the first season out of the 5 that we've simmed in. So Ansu Fati moved from Barcelona to Manchester United, where he's played 162 games in the 5 years. Scored a chunk of goals as well and had a pretty good overall rating for the club. Why does it always go back so far? There we go. Eva Chiron, I've seen him before. I think he starts at 16-year-old in Anderlecht, I think. I might be wrong. No, I am right. Belgian, he's looking pretty good as well. Played 129 games for Man City, scored 25 goals. Anthony Martial went to Real Madrid for 85 million. He's now 33 years of age. Oh my god, this backing features my head in. Kai Havertz went from Man City to Real Madrid as well. Okay, that's a big one. He's over at PSG now. Any other big ones, really? Ooh, West Ham sold a player to Man City, Nicolo Amini. He played 54 games for Man City before they sold him on to Barcelona for a cut price, but 25 million less a couple of seasons afterwards. Okay. Nuno Tavares went to Spurs from Atletico Madrid for a chunk of money. Again, he lasted 1 season at Spurs before going to Real Madrid. So Spurs paid 70 for him. They sold him to... he lasted 3 seasons, just didn't play a lot of games. Paid 70 million for him. Then sold him to Real Madrid, who had him for 2 seasons, who then again took £10 million cut to sell him off to Juventus. That's interesting. Okay, so Davinson Sanchez went from Man United to Atletico Madrid as well. He played 83 games at Man United. Hakimi went into Manchester United, the Moroccan. That's interesting. Okay, the season after that then. The big move was £93 million for Lorenzo Francese, who is a generated player. He's been at Chelsea now for 5 seasons. Scored 50 goals against 140 games. That's cool. Donegui Sion went to Liverpool. Again, he's another generated player. Dutchman. He's played 122 games for Liverpool now, scoring 40 goals. Bournemouth's Stephen Lawrence went to Man United for 80 million. That's a big move, that is. And he's since then moved on to Barcelona. So Man United paid 80 million for him, sold him for 127 a few years later to Barcelona. So they made a good profit, Man United, in them 2 seasons. But they did lose a very good player by the looks of it. João Felix went from Chelsea to Juventus, and now he's moved to Manchester United. Was that in January? Must have been with the amount of games he's played, but he went to Chelsea for 88 and went to Juventus for 79, then went to Man United for 89. So he's had an interesting career, hasn't he? Jadon Sancho left Chelsea to go to Barcelona. He's been there for 135 games, 25 goals now. Romario Barro, the Portuguese. He's done pretty well over there as well. Wilfred Ndidi went to Atletico Madrid for 58 million. He's a pretty good player, actually, isn't he? Ndidi. Alright, let's check the next season then. The big transfers. Ander Martin was the big one. From Sociedad to Liverpool for 102 million. He is a generated player. He cost 102 million, but in 4 seasons, and he only played 76 games. And he's scored not that many goals, really. 17 as a cam. That might be a bit of a disappointing move, really, for Liverpool, but there you go. Next up, Angel Contreras went from Real Madrid to Man City for 96 million. Again, another generated player. Looks like a defender, centre-back sort of style. He's wanted by Spurs. I don't think he's really turned out as well as they would have hoped either. He does look very evil, though, with his pointy eyebrows. Moise Kean went from Porto to Arsenal for 85 million. He scored 23 goals in 62 games for them, shall I say. Also, Ilax Morbiba. I don't know, he's a real player apparently, but he went to Chelsea from Madrid. He's played 79 games in the 4 years. He is now transfer listed though. So obviously he didn't work out as well as they planned. Arthur went from Spurs to Juventus. He's had a good time there, 97 games. Nicolo Zaniolo moves into Arsenal as well from Barcelona. So lots of interesting stuff. Andy Stockbridge, an Englishman, going from Newcastle to Arsenal. He's been pretty good for them. He's got 40 caps for the national side. He looks pretty interesting. Any of the big ones, really? We saw Diogo Almeida move to China, to Beijing. Man City lost Nicolo Armini to Barcelona, as we mentioned earlier on. Some interesting deals around. Alfie McCalmont, 58 million to Manchester United. He's a real player, he is. Okay. He was at Man United, only played 9... Oh, wow, that looks like a terrible deal, that. And they paid 58 million for him. Loaned him out to West Ham for a season and sold him for 22. That was a terrible deal. That was by Man United. Right, next season, the big deals were 131 million for Darcy Riccioli from Inter Milan to Manchester City, the Portuguese CDM. He's played 41 games in the 2 seasons he's been there. Not really been outstanding, to be honest with you. Not been outstanding at all, but he's still valued quite highly and only 25 years of age, so a long time left in his career. Stephen Lawrence went from Manchester United to Barcelona, as we saw, the Nigerian. 75 caps for Nigeria, and he's only 27 years of age, so he's probably going to break their records. Abdoulaye Traore went from PSG to Liverpool. He's a generated CDM. He looks pretty good, actually, stat-wise. Played 52 times in the 2 seasons he's been there, and he's wanted now by Atletico Madrid. How much did they pay for him? 102 million, so lots of money for him as well. Daryl Miller, the Englishman, went to Manchester City. He looks like a cracking player as well, to be honest. He's actually leaving. Where's he going? He's joining PSG. Is that a transfer or is that a free transfer? 119 million. Wow, that's a big move, that is. But he has actually spent a couple of years there, scored 30 goals in 72 games. That's outstanding, really. He looks like a really, really good player. Lisandro Tramoni went from Rennes to Liverpool for 85 million. young French right mid. Benjamin Morel went to Man United from Real Madrid. He's a French right winger, scored 14 goals in 36 games for Man United. Carlos Adalberto, that's the one. Went to Atletico Madrid from Manchester City. He looks like a cracking player as well. Really good stats on him. Everton from Liverpool to Chelsea. That's confusing, isn't it? Ndombele went from Spurs to Real Madrid. He's still knocking around then. Played 269 games for Spurs. That's massive, really. Spent a long time there. Any other interesting ones? I can't really see any. West Ham spent nearly 50 million on Joel Martins, who's not really been outstanding for them, has he? But you never know. Right, into the next season then. The big mover was huge. Martin Villela moved from Real Madrid to Liverpool for 198 million. The central midfielder scored 6 goals in 36 appearances for the club in his first season, getting an average rating of 7.21 and 8 assists. That's a big, big move, that is. Mike Ramos also went from Bayern Munich to Liverpool at another £100 million spent on a striker this time for the German. 22 years of age with 40 caps for the national side already. Scored 10 goals in his first season in 25 league games. Liverpool really going hard to try and win this one. Man United, though, however, brought in João Felix, the 29-year-old Portuguese. He scored 5 goals in the 17 games he was there. We also saw Cyril Pedersen go from Spurs to Manchester United as well. The Swiss CDM looks actually like a fantastic player. Looks spot on for that position, you know. Really, really good CDM. 36 games, 1 goal for the club. Yeah, he actually looks like a fantastic player. Let's have another look at him. So he got an average rate of 6.83, which is surprising because he looks like he'd be very, very good. But as time goes on, I think he might just get there. Sergio Munos went from Liverpool to AC Milan. I'm assuming to try and make some of the money back that Liverpool had spent. He hasn't got great stats, to be honest, but they sold him for quite a big chunk of money. Anything else interesting? We saw another player go to Beijing, and Brian O'Day. Well, Beijing must be doing pretty well now then, because they've brought quite a few players in. So look at the value: 40 million for him, 37 million for him. They got Pedro Pereira, who's worth 24 million. They got some very, very good players actually, haven't they, over there? Yeah, so not much of that mega interesting stuff. I'm trying to see if any smaller teams. West Ham has spent another 52 million on Carlos Guimarães, the Portuguese cam. So that looks pretty good as well. And finally, the final of the 5 seasons we're looking at this episode, Alan Nevares Campos from Everton to Manchester United, the young Brazilian striker. He looks to have cracking stats, especially only being 23 years of age. He could be very, very good. Played 134 games for Everton, scoring 62 goals. There's also Jorge Giorgetti, who's moved from Porto to Arsenal, who look to continue their run of good form in the league. Looks like a pretty good centre-back. He's got 16 tackling, 17 marking, which is very, very good. Jordan Ross went from Leicester to Everton. He does not look that great, to be honest with you. I mean, he scored 29 goals in 130 games for Leicester. That's not outstanding, really, goal-scoring record. Not outstanding at all, so I'm a bit surprised by the amount of money involved in that one. Morgan Gibbs-White went from Leeds to Southampton for 39 million. You know what, I'm sure be looking at this. This is the transfer. This is the season we're about to do, isn't it? Okay, we'll ignore that for now. So let's have a look then at the other cups as well. So, of course, we've seen the Premier League. Let's actually have a look at the World Cup. So we've got the Euros as well. Let's actually do this. Let's do it the more sensible way then. International competitions, FIFA World Cup. So there was one World Cup since the last time we did it, and England got the win in 2026. Wow, that's very impressive. That is very, very impressive. Can I look back at the last one? That's the 2030. There we go. 2026. Wow, is this the way that it works now? That's a lot. Is it? This must be qualifiers, isn't it? No, it's not. Okay, it's a massive World Cup then. With lots and lots. Let's have a look at all the groups. This is huge. Is this the new plan they've got for the World Cup? Because there's a lot of bloody clubs in this. England had Iran and New Zealand. There's Germany and Ghana. There's absolutely tons here. Then it went to a second round, which is a big knockout competition. We saw England beating Guinea-Bissau. however you pronounce that. The third round, England knocked out Germany with a 4-0 win. That was pretty huge as well. The quarter-final, we saw England beating Belgium on penalties. The semi-final, England beat France 2-0. And in the final, England beat Croatia 1-0. So England won the World Cup. That's huge, that is. That's very, very big. Is it also... I need to do Europe then, don't I? European international competitions. Nope. How do I do the... how do I do what I'm looking for? There you go. International competitions. Let's have a look at the European Championship. It was won by France in 2028. Beating Belgium in the final. Okay. So let's just finish off with England actually while we're here. Let's have a look at stuff like the FA Cup and the other divisions as well, see if anyone else has moved around interestingly. So first of all then, into the Premiership we already know. Let me just have the Premiership, there we go. Into the Championship then. Anyone have any real interest there? No, everyone looks pretty normal. Wickham are up there, that's a bit of a different one. We've got Brighton, Burnley... Leeds and Middlesbrough still down in the Championship. I thought they'd get up by now, to be honest. Luton's in there still as well. Look down to League One then. Anyone interesting? Not really. Everyone's pretty standard. There's nothing completely out there. I mean, Stoke being down here is interesting, as well as Sunderland. I thought they might get themselves up a bit quicker than this as well. Into League Two, Bolton, Charlton, Chester, Crawley. Chester's an interesting one, I think. Forest Green are still there. Salford are still in there as well. Go down to the National League. So this is a little bit different. There's a few more different teams around here, which is nice. Kettering, that's where I was born. South Shields are up there as well. Okay, into the Northern League. Pretty standard teams. I don't think there's anyone like completely out of it. And in the Southern League, Enfield Town. I think they're probably the smallest club that's made their way up, I think, at this point in time. That's pretty cool, okay. Into the FA Cup then. Wow, Swansea won the FA Cup this last year. Well done, Swansea. Liverpool won it, Spurs won it, Southampton won it as well, and then Chelsea won it. It's interesting to see the likes of Swansea and Southampton getting an FA Cup win. I mean, where are Swansea? They're in the Premiership. Their key player is Nuno Santos, who's not exactly fantastic, is he? And he is also on the transfer list, which is interesting. But that's big, that is, for Swansea. They must be the first non-English team ever to win the FA Cup, I would imagine. Might be wrong. Into the Carabao Cup then, Liverpool, Chelsea, Swansea again won that. Liverpool and Watford got a Carabao Cup win as well. That's pretty cool. Okay, Community Shield, pretty simple. Chelsea, Man City. So even though Arsenal won the league 3 out of the last 5 years, they've never won the Community Shield. Okay. FA Challenge Trophy is currently held by Bolton. And that's into the under-23s. Now let's have a look at some of the other big nations across Europe then. If we look at first... Let's go alphabetical. Let's go France. I should imagine this will be pretty simple. I should imagine it's going to be just PSG dominant. It is. PSG dominance still. Monaco's had 1 year of success, but apart from that, PSG have dominated since 2012, 2013, really. How strong is their team now? Has it got even more bizarre? Their key player is Thiago, who's a Brazilian right back. That's interesting. Let's have a look at the actual squad themselves. Rate by value. Thiago's worth 90 million apparently. They've got Kai Havertz, they've got Erling Haaland still, who scored 121 goals in 201 appearances for PSG. That's pretty crazy, isn't it, really? Chiesa... I thought he was going to be a different... Curtis Jones as well, from Liverpool. Yeah. He played for Monaco for a few seasons, then came to PSG. That's interesting as well. Bergwijn is there. He's on the transfer list. So PSG have effectively just dominated the French division, haven't they, really? So what else is in here then? Germany. We sort of see much dominance there, or someone... Oh yes, no, there is some teams sort of breaking the monotony, because Bayern, again, just like PSG, dominated since 2012 to 13. The last few years, though, we've seen Leipzig get a win, Schalke and Dortmund. Let's have a look at the last season. Can I look at the last season? Yeah, I go to stages, don't I? So last year, Bayern Munich won it by 1 point over Dortmund as well, and Mönchengladbach and Schalke were also there, so that's pretty interesting. It looks like the monotony of German football seems to be breaking down a little bit, and there's some other teams challenging. Let's have a look over at Italy. See what's going on over there. AC Milan, again, it's been pretty mixed. I mean, Juventus have dominated for quite some time. AC Milan got in there in the 23-24 season. Juventus got it back, then there was a win for Roma, then 2 wins in a row for AC Milan. Their key player is Remo Salvati, who is a striker, 62 goals in 143 appearances. Not outstanding, but obviously doing him well. That's pretty cool. Next up then, let's have a look at... I'm assuming it's just Spain left now, isn't it? Yeah, let's look at Spain. Spain's always an interesting one. And it has been pretty mixed over the last 5 years. We've seen Barcelona and Real Madrid in the previous 2 years, but Atletico Madrid dominated the league for a good few seasons. Barcelona winning it this year by 2 points away from Real Madrid. Let's have a look at the Barcelona team. Their biggest player is Stephen Lawrence, the Nigerian that, of course, they signed from Man United. So he started at Porto, he did. Moved to Bournemouth for 61 million. That's a big move for Bournemouth, who then sold him 2 years later to Man United for 80, who then sold him 2 years later for 127 million. So he is the Lionel Messi of this day and age, I would imagine. Ousmane Dembele still going. Okay. And one other thing that we can look at, I don't even know how to find this, to be honest, but how do I find awards? Would that be in... it's not international competitions, is it? No, I don't think so. It's not in there either. How do I find awards? That's an interesting... okay, so Africa, I can see that. So Stephen Lawrence has been named the African Footballer of the Year 2 years in a row. So I need to find the same thing for the world, don't I? Is there a world one of these? World. Can I click on... There we go, world. There we go. I've got it. Right, so major clubs. Apparently the biggest club in the world at this point in time is Arsenal. Then PSG, then Man City, then Atletico, Real, Barcelona, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, AC Milan. Top players, Mbappe is the best player in the world at this point in time, apparently. Then Burak Yildiz from Real Madrid, the Turkish goalkeeper, apparently is absolutely insanely good. Wow, okay, they brought him from Schalke. How much did they pay for him? £123 million from Schalke. Okay, Daryl Miller. I think he's a cracking player. He looks fantastic. Thiago from PSG. Okay, then Kai Havertz from PSG as well. Asier Dominguez from Barcelona. He looks like a pretty solid player for a 22-year-old. Donegui Sion for Liverpool. The one they've just brought... well, they brought him a few years ago, actually. Ruben Diaz from PSG. Okay. He's had a big career. Then he played most of his career at Real Madrid before having a season at, of course, the PSG. Cyril Pedersen. I think this guy looks absolutely fantastic. I really do. João Felix, of course, as well. And then Elisha Owusu, Ghanaian CDM. That's pretty cool. Major transfers. Okay, there's nothing really going on much at the moment. Major nations. Can I have a look at the actual world ranking in order? Oh, it's put me back to... Why is it put me back to Africa for? I don't want to be at Africa. I want to be in the world. Take me back to the world. Okay, there we go. So Brazil was number 1 in the world. England are in 2nd. France 3rd. Portugal 4th. Any real big movers? Nigeria made them way up to 8th, which is pretty interesting. But I should imagine that's mainly because of course, the... he's not even on here, actually, is he? Oh. You know what I mean. Let's have a look then at the Golden Ball. What is the Golden Ball then? I want Ballon d'Or, not Golden Ball. Oh, okay, it goes through them all, does it? Okay. So Golden Ball is most goals in a season. So Phil Foden, who currently plays for Barcelona, scored that. He got a £51 million move from Man City to Barcelona. Since then, he has been so dominant over there. Second place was Gabriel Jesus at PSG. And third was Fabio Silva at Real Madrid. Last year was Albin Pelletier. Okay. 129 goals in 189 games. That's insanely good, isn't it? It's really, really good. Let's have a look then at the goalkeeper of the year. Is Burak Yildiz, then Alex Meret, then Diogo Costa. Where is De Gea now? Is he retired? No, he's a free transfer, though. He's just played for the Juventus team for a while. Moving there for nearly 20 million. Then he's now out and about. Ederson, are you still going? Yes, you're still going at Manchester City. Played 419 games and he conceded 276 goals. That's pretty impressive, really, actually. That's not a lot of goals to concede, is it? Footballer of the Year. Phil Foden's won it 2 years in a row. Kylian Mbappe, then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row for Mbappe. 2 years in a row for Bernardo Silva. Of course, real life was Modric and a couple of Ronaldos, but that is insanely. To get Kylian Mbappe's won it 5 years in a row, now Phil Foden's overtaken him now. And Mbappe's still second. And Mbappe third that year, so he's been really one of the top players in the world, hasn't he? Talking of good young players, though, Walter de Wilde is the best young player in the world. The Belgian striker from Bayern Munich, he looks insanely good as well, doesn't he? 22 years of age, 19 goals in 30 games for the club. Year before that was Antonio Menudo, who is over at Atletico Madrid, also doing incredibly well. Helder Nunes at Manchester United. He's maybe not doing as well as they hoped he would do. He's now currently transfer listed. Vicente Martin, of course, and Mbappe and so forth. World Player of the Year. We've done that one already, haven't we? Okay, so World Player of the Year and Football of the Year are completely different things, apparently. Let's have a look at the World Team of the Year for this year, then. So Phil Foden is a striker. We've got Liverpool's Sion. We've got Almada from Atletico Madrid. Rodrigo. Oh, Rodrigo's still going at Real Madrid. He's been playing a lot of football for them, hasn't he? Moriba, I think that's Chelsea, is it? Yep. Can play. He's interesting. He can play CDM, centre mid, cam, striker, attacking right mid, and can also play attacking left mid, and right mid at a stretch. That's very interesting. Where's it all gone? There it is. Ndombele at Real Madrid. Reguilon at Real Madrid as well as the left back. Then we've got Eder Militao, still Ruben Diaz. Diego Dallo. Wow, okay. Diego Dallo at Chelsea. Doesn't look outstanding stat-wise, does he really? But we sold him to Man United. Man United sold him to Chelsea for 55 million. Oh. Okay. Well, I think I've exhausted all of the different things we could have looked at in this video. If there's anything you want me to check out in the next week's video, of course, we'll be 15 years into the future in next week's video. Please do let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to randomly go off on one and see what happens, I suppose. Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit a like and, of course, subscribe if you want to see some more. Just have a quick look at Holland as well. Ajax have dominated most, but a couple of AZ victories. But yeah, I've been Shabby Gamer. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.